a special edition of Herald TV's program Goa Wants To Know. Immediately after Goa's liberation on 19 December 1961, Goa was introduced to military rule. After 6 months, a civilian government was introduced. But before the 1963 Goa Daman and Diu assembly elections, a huge controversy arose which threatened the very existence of Goa. The MGP and like-minded organizations decided that they should merge Goa with Maharashtra and espouse Marathi as the mother tongue of Goans. One Maharashtra politician even claimed that Goans were black Portuguese. As a reaction to this insult, Jack Sequeira and others, 5 parties came together and formed the United Goans Party. This controversy, and they decided to fight for statehood for Goa and Konkani as the mother tongue of Goans. This controversy, which created a crisis about the very identity of Goa, went on until the opinion poll of 1967, which was held on 16th of January. Thereafter, successive MGP governments refused to declare Konkani as the official language even in the aftermath of the opinion poll or fight for statehood. Even the Congress governments which came in the 1980 and 1984 elections, although they had it in their manifesto that they would declare Konkani as the official language and fight for statehood, there was a division within the Congress. To discuss this issue, we have with us today a very special guest, Mr. Luizinho Faleiro. Welcome to the program. He has authored his second book, which is titled The Battle for Konkani and Statehood, which is being released by the Goa Governor, His Excellency P.S. Sridharan Pillai. Mr. Faleiro needs no introduction because he has been twice Chief Minister of Goa and has spent the last 40 years of his life in politics. Earlier, he was a member of the Congress Working Committee, the highest decision-making body of the Congress, and he has guided the fortunes of the northeastern states such as Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland and Tripura. He was also responsible for selecting the candidates and for guiding the Congress to victory in the 2013 Karnataka elections. So once again, welcome to our program Herald TV. My first question to you is, what motivated you to write this book?
Well, many people asked me this question. The battle for Konkani and statehood, the twin aspirations of Goans, is the largest movement in the post-liberation history of Goa. And therefore, I thought it is a proud history of Goa. And this history for official language and for statehood has to be protected, preserved and handed over to the posterity.
Yeah.
So this was one of the main reasons why I thought of writing this book, The Battle for Konkani and Statehood.
Okay. So, you have also expressed in some part of the book a little reluctance to write this book, and why is it so?
Well, in 1980, when I got elected, the successive most popular governments which were elected in the state of Goa were Maharashtrawadi Gomantak Party, who were democratically elected for 4 continuous terms.
Yeah, so that was before 1980.
Yeah, and their philosophy was that Marathi is the language of Goa, therefore Goa is a part of Maharashtra, and therefore Goa should be merged with Maharashtra. And when I say they were most popular government because people of Goa elected them. So they had a fixed idea. I call them the party which has popular this, but which were lost causes. They were for
Party
Marathi.
of lost causes.
Lost causes. So I was feeling, why should I go against the majority of people of Goa who elected MGP and whose ideology was that? Why should I go against the MLAs? But then the inner conviction and the power of conviction told me I must take it up, and accordingly I have taken up. This book which I have written has got 18 chapters. In fact, there are 18 events and dates in chronological order, wherein the history of our mother tongue and statehood is given. So I thought this also has to be given to the posterity. Another reason why I wanted this book is because thousands of Goans, they took part in this battle for Konkani. They suffered a lot of inconvenience. They suffered the police atrocities. They suffered the police lathis. They suffered police imprisonment. They suffered police bullets. Some of them gave their blood. Some of them gave their life. They were martyrs. And therefore, I thought I will dedicate this book for all those who participated in the movement and who has suffered for the cause of Goans.
So, indeed it's a very historic book, because if somebody was 15 years at 1986-87, today that person would be 52 years. So, the younger generation would not know and would not feel the enthusiasm of the people, the fight that took place to have what we take for granted, that is Konkani and statehood. So, therefore, what started all this was your historic meeting with Indira Gandhi in New Delhi. So, can you please tell us your meeting with Indira Gandhi? What did you say to her, and how did you take up this issue in the Legislative Assembly, and why?
I remember it was a cold winter in the month of January in 1980 when I visited the residence of Indira Gandhi, our then Honorable Prime Minister. And it was the morning darshan. Anybody could meet. She used to meet everybody, whoever has come. And I mentioned that, Madam, the popular aspiration of people of Goa is statehood.
When she was passing?
When she was passing. She passed as if she has not heard me. And after meeting everybody, she came back and she asked me, what did you say? I said that the popular aspiration of the people of Goa is statehood. Your party and our party had given this assurance to the public who have got us elected, and your father had promised us.
Okay.
So she looked at me and she said, you first decide your language and we will give you statehood. Because every state was carved out on the basis of language, what you call that, linguistic states.
Yeah.
And thereafter I came back, I moved a resolution in the party, I took a resolution in the assembly. It's a very historic resolutions, and I brought a bill in the assembly.
Okay.
So Mrs. Indira Gandhi's words stirred up and inspired me to take up this cause for the fight for official language and statehood.
Okay. So then, when and how did this movement for Konkani as official language move from the Legislative Assembly to become a people's movement? Because you were a one-man army who was tabling this, although it was there in the manifesto of the Congress, but you took the initiative and you tabled this, saying that Konkani has to be made a mother tongue, statehood has to be granted to Goans. How did it move from the legislature to become a people's movement?
Well, my first resolution in the party was unanimous. My first resolution on statehood in the party was unanimous. My first resolution is very historic resolution in the Legislative Assembly, was passed out unanimously by and immediately we got the Konkani Academy, because that was one of the demand. And the second demand was Konkani to be made official language. It was passed unanimously. Then the next resolution was passed unanimously on statehood. But a problem came when I moved the Goa Daman and Diu official language bill to make Konkani. That was rejected. And that set the powder keg. And people of Goa were very upset. I led an agitation. I left the assembly. I quoted arrest, and a lot of writers, poets, they quoted arrest. We were arrested, taken in Altin, and there the Konkani Purja's Awaz was born, and that started this. And then I traveled length and breadth of Goa in telling that Konkani is the only language which keeps everybody together, whether you're Hindu, Christian, or Muslim, is a language of unity, and this official language will help us to provide and protect employment for Goans in the future.
In your book, you have two historic chapters, one which describes the massive meeting at Lohia Maidan, Margaon, and then the second meeting in Panjim, which overshadowed the Lohia Maidan meeting because thousands and thousands of people gathered to fight for language.
Well, I would say all the battles, whether it was the liberation movement or every movement, was always from Salsette. But it didn't just start Salsette. We went length and breadth, but I was asked to organize the meeting at Lohia Maidan.
Okay.
So we didn't have that time that many resources. So I organized cycle rallies coming from Betul to Lohia Maidan, coming from Kavelosi to Lohia Maidan, coming from Kepen to Lohia Maidan, coming from Kurtorin to Lohia Maidan, from Kortalin to Lohia Maidan, and from Kolva, Betalbadin to Lohia Maidan, because we wanted a crowd. But the crowd was phenomenally huge. That was the real awakening, and therefore I said that the meeting at Lohia Maidan was the awakening of a sleeping giant, and that has created ripples all over the state, which was followed, as you have said, in Panjim. That meeting also was very huge. In fact, we could not control the crowds and the traffic which was coming from every side of Goa.
Now, in these two meetings, which were basically a popular movement, culmination of popular movement, what was the reaction of the government at that time? Did the government create any obstruction? Because the government was dragging its feet with regard
to
language.
As I have said, that even though we had a Congress government, many of the MLAs had come or migrated from the Maharashtrawadi government to Congress. So many of them were of the same old ideology that Marathi is the language of Goa, therefore Goa is a part of Maharashtra, and therefore, so we didn't get a good response.
So that was at the back of the mind within the cabinet itself.
Yeah, there were a majority of the MLAs who were not totally for the official language. So the movement was not going very good with the legislators and with the government of the day that time.
Okay.
It was our own Congress government.
Now, can you describe to us how this official language bill was passed, and what was the role of Rajiv Gandhi, the son of Indira Gandhi, because at that time when Goa was burning, I believe Rajiv told the chief minister and some MLAs who had gone to meet him, Goa is burning, go and save Goa.
Well, of course, if it was not the directions given by the then Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi, we would have not had Konkani as official language of Goa, because at that time the opposition leader had already 8-9 signatures from the MLAs from the ruling side, and with that there was this. So Rajiv Gandhi ji has sent his emissaries.
You mean the opposition MGP, which was
hardly two,
reigning against.
But they had a support of many of the Congress MLAs.
Okay.
So Rajiv Gandhi sent his emissaries. He had a meeting over here, and finally, even though Konkani is made the official language, Marathi was also being used for official purposes. Whereas I was very disappointed, because when I moved the bill, Goa Dominant Official Language Bill, I said, at least for the sake of all communities in Goa, that Konkani should be both in Devanagari script, which is its natural script, and also in Roman script. And when the final bill came, I moved a resolution. They didn't accept the resolution, so I walked out and then I went back and passed the bill.
So, in retrospect, because this debate is not yet over, there are people who speak Romi and who write in Romi and who still feel that they were betrayed, although the official language bill was passed and Konkani was made the official language. This particular mentioning of only the Devanagari script and exclusion of the Romi script was a betrayal of the people.
I agree with you because at
the
that time
Theatri said
Konkani language was developed by everybody. I was also involved in Karnataka where I was made one of the trustee. So in Goa, Konkani was developed mainly by the Christian community, by Theatris community, by the church in Roman script. Whereas Konkani was developed in the other community in Devanagari script. Devanagari script being the natural script, the government wanted to bulldoze it. But I feel at that time when I was asking for moratorium of 25 years or 50 years, so that all those who developed Konkani in Roman script can also contribute for the development and improvement of the Konkani language. So one leg was cut. I agree with you. Only one leg was kept. Today, our language could have developed much faster and much better. For example, in Karnataka, there are two sections. One section believes that Konkani should be in Devanagari script. Other section believes that Konkani should be in Kannada script. Yeah. But as long as there is a development, it should have been this. You go to the northeast, there is all these languages are in the Roman script. But today I am not there for creating a controversy because the younger generation today have learned Konkani in Devanagari script. So they are okay. They are.
But a lot of people who use and write Konkani, like for example the Theatris community, the church, they still use Konkani in the Roman script.
Yes, I agree with you, especially the older generation. Like me, I still read Konkani in the Roman script.
It does not enjoy official patronage.
Since the official language was passed in Devanagari script, all those sections of people who had promoted the language to that
and
highest level,
who fought for the language,
who fought ferociously, felt that they were let down at that time.
Okay. Now, once this official language bill was passed, statehood was easier to come by, isn't it? Because Indira Gandhi gave us the opinion poll and Rajiv Gandhi gave us statehood.
Since our constitution is talking of carving out the states on the basis of language, what we call linguistic states,
Yeah.
and therefore we were worried even after opinion poll, there were many MGP MLAs who moved a resolution that the Marathi is the language of Goa.
Yeah. And
So,
Bandodkar himself, I believe, said that opinion poll verdict is temporary only for 5 years. After that, again,
Yeah.
we will have some.
So we were worried that the sword of merger of Goa with Maharashtra on the basis of language being carved out on linguistic basis was there. So this fight was appropriate. This fight, I think the people of Goa, even though they suffered very, very badly, it has brought the desired dream of Goans of having a separate state reality.
Okay. Now, what was the motivation of the people in fighting for language and statehood? Was it purely a question of language or identity, or was there also an economic motive? Because you yourself, when you were a minister, you brought in this bill regarding the 15-year domicile and knowledge of Konkani for government jobs.
Well, when I traveled length and breadth of the state of Goa, my appeal to them every day I was sometimes having 4 meetings a day. And it was like my meetings and my speeches were more or less stereotyped. Okay. I told them that Konkani language is a language of unity among Christians, Hindu, Muslims. But Konkani language, we want to make it official language, so we want to bring in the legislation and protect employment for Goans. And that has gone well with the people. And I really, after getting the official language, I brought an employment policy. I implemented 80% of the policy, wherein I brought the knowledge of Konkani compulsory for employment exchange registration, for jobs. Even in private industries, 80% jobs to the Goans was there on this basis. So I had put 15 years domicile and working knowledge of Konkani compulsory. And I did it within the ambit of law.
Yeah.
By bringing the necessary legislations and by bringing the necessary notifications.
Now, in retrospect, looking at how Goa has developed and how there is a lot of in-migration into Goa, just bloating the population of Goa, do you think that this domicile clause should be increased to 25 years?
Even at that time, when I brought these legislations of 15 years domicile and working knowledge of Konkani, my initial draft for notification was 25 years.
Okay.
But then I thought, if a young man is fully qualified and if he is just 18 years, why should I deprive him of a job? Because for employment, 18 years is enough. And I am putting 25 years, that means he is losing 4 years.
Yeah.
So thereafter I made it 15 years. But today, I think we'll have to look at the old laws which I had made once again, so we can provide a better protection of employment for Goans.
Okay. Now, you say in the book that Konkani and Statehood ensured protection of the Goan identity. But since then, do you think there have been any legislative efforts to save Goan identity, or should there be any efforts to further protect Goan identity?
Unfortunately, no. There has not been many legislations or measures taken by the state of Goa to protect the identity of Goans in Goa. For example, the successive governments has promised a special category status to Goa.
Yes.
But no government has fulfilled the promise. I was in charge of all the 7 northeastern states of India. They have got a special category status. So they have got a protection of the language, the protection of the land, protection of the culture, protection of the traditions, which are not happening. I had brought also a bill, besides official language bill, protection of land bill, which was thrown out. Okay. So that we could protect our land and our identity. Finally, it is your identity, your culture, your history, which has to be protected.
Yeah.
If you don't know your identity and your culture, you don't know who you are.
Okay.
And I feel that even now, we should bring this necessary legislations to protect our land, to protect our culture, to protect our identity,
Certainly.
to protect our forest, to protect our ecology, protect our environment, and so many other things, which we would have had automatically if we had made Goa as a special category status. Since it is not there, we'll have to work out to see that how we can protect even now.
Finally, my last question to you is, what is your message to the youth of today regarding Konkani language in particular? Because you find less and less number of people are today talking Konkani. And what would be your message to the youth regarding protection of Goan identity?
Well, I would say that if I can see young people working in the government, like Mamladars, BDOs, deputy collectors, I feel immensely happy and proud because of the legislation I brought, that they should have the knowledge of Konkani. So our young children are studying, they are learning Konkani, but it should be much more. And I agree with you, there has been a lot of frustration among the youth because Goa is young, as India is young. 65% of the population is below the age of 45. And there are many young fellows who are highly educated, highly qualified, but they are not getting jobs. Whereas on the other side, there are a lot of people who are coming from outside, they are getting employment. They are involved in this. If a Goan can go to Portugal and become the Prime Minister of Portugal, if a Goan can go to UK and become the MP of that, why can't we promote our youth to take up the challenges of the future? It is not enough to say our youth are not taking this. We have to get them back into Goa, because most of the youth are now thinking of going abroad because they feel they have no job opportunities, there is no future for them. So I feel that we all have to harness our experience. For example, because I resigned as an MP, I resigned from the party, I was an idle man. An idle man is a devil's workshop. So I got this first book, The Battle for Konkani and Statehood. I had brought employment policy, industrial policy, housing policy, IT policy. It is now they are bringing agricultural policy. It is not enough to bring policies. You must go on a mission mode and find out how best we can help our farmers, how best we can help our other people, and how best we can get our youth even in agriculture. Today you don't expect the youth to go and do agriculture. You will have to bring in a certain degree of mechanization or semi-mechanization.
Yeah.
You will have to go on a mission mode and help them. Today, the farmers all over the country are committing suicide. Goa, they are not committing suicide because they have left agriculture.
Yeah.
So we have to get them back and make it as lucrative as possible.
Okay.
Similarly, in business, we have to go on a mission mode to get our youth back in business. We have to get our education system. I brought education policy. I brought 50 and odd incentives to improve the quality of education. You may remember only giving cycles to the girl child, but I brought the NCERT syllabus. Our children has to compete not only state level, national level and international level. Are we having the university which is working in that direction? Are we having, all over the country they have got central universities, we have got a NIO, we have got a Arctic mission, we have got a ONGC, but are we integrating this so that we can make Goa a center of excellence? We have got the best institutions, but are they integrated with the university education? Where is the university? I had asked these questions in the parliament. Even though I was there for a short while, I raised 40 and odd issues. Education is one.
Yeah.
And education and orientation can bring our youth back with honor and dignity, so that we can proudly say that 60-65% of our young generation are back in the path of participating in the development and progress of Goa.
Okay. So that has been a fascinating discussion with Mr. Luizinho Faleiro, two-time Chief Minister of Goa, and having served in the Rajya Sabha as an MP and having raised so many issues, that some of which he has raised over here. It was nice talking to you, and we wish you all the best for your book release tomorrow at the hands of the Goa Governor, The Battle for Konkani and Statehood. We wish you all the luck, and we hope that as a very senior politician having 40 years of experience, you continue to guide the state and the state's politician. Thank you for coming to Herald TV and participating in our program, Goa Wants to Know. See you again on Herald TV.